Alright, we're back. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but I still hope you enjoy it. Anyways, let's get right into it. I wasted 6 years failing at everything I tried to build. Today, I broke down in front of my dad, and his words changed everything. I've been trying to build my own thing for the last 6 years. While my friends were getting promoted, buying cars, and traveling, I was sitting in my room, staring at failed codes and rejected ideas. Honestly, I was done. I felt like a loser. I was burdening my family. Today, I sat with my dad and finally let it out. I told him, Dad, I think I should just quit and find a normal job. I wasted 6 important years of my life. My dad, who usually doesn't talk much about emotions, looked at me and said something that hit me harder than any motivational video. He said, Son, those 6 years aren't wasted. They were invested. After every mistake, you learn something new, right? I nodded. He continued, Listen, nothing in this world is stronger than you. What belongs to you will come to you. It's not going anywhere. You just have to keep working hard. You've put 6 years into this. If you step back now, that would have been the actual failure. You've survived the learning phase. Now is the time to grow. That line, if you step back now, that would be the actual failure, woke me up. I realized I wasn't starting from scratch. I was starting from experience. So I'm wiping my tears and getting back to work. I'm giving it one more try. Not for the world, but for that belief my dad has in me. Just wanted to share this for anyone else feeling like giving up. Your work isn't wasted. It's just being stored for the right time. I sat with the man on a bus who didn't want to go home yet. A few years ago, I missed my stop on purpose. Not in a dramatic way. I just stayed seated when the doors opened, even though my apartment was right there across the street. It had been a long day, the kind where nothing technically goes wrong, but everything feels heavier than it should. My phone was dead, my shoulders hurt, and I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts yet, so I stayed on the bus. 2 seats over from me was an older man holding a grocery bag like it might fall apart if he relaxed his grip. It had oranges in it. I remember because one rolled out every time the bus hit a bump, and he'd gently nudge it back in with his shoe. After a while, he noticed me watching and said, They don't like being shaken. I smiled. Neither do I. That made him laugh. Not loud, just a small surprise sound, like he didn't expect it to come out. We rode in silence for another few stops. Then he said, You ever feel like going home is the hardest part of the day? I didn't know him. I knew something about his life, but the question landed right where it needed to. Yeah, I said, sometimes. He nodded, like that was enough explanation for both of us. He told me he used to get off the bus with his wife, same time every evening. Same driver, the same corner shop where they'd argue about whether they needed bread when they already had bread. She had died the year before. He didn't say it for sympathy. He said it the way you mentioned the weather. Something that happened. Something you live around now. I still take the long route, he said. Feels rude to rush it. At the next stop, he stood up, paused, then sat back down. Missed it again, he said, almost amused. When it was finally my turn to get off, I hesitated. My hand is on the pole. My feet are not moving. He looked at me and said, You don't have to go yet, but you probably should eventually. That felt like advice I didn't know I needed. I stood, the doors opened, cold air rushed in. Before I stepped off, he reached into his grocery bag, pulled out one of the oranges, and held it out to me. For later, he said, so you don't forget the bus keeps going. I took it. It was warm from his hand. Thank you, I said, and it meant more than just that moment. I never saw him again. Different schedules, different lives. But sometimes, when I don't want to go home yet, I think about a bus rolling forward, whether you're ready or not, about oranges that don't like being shaken, about how talking to a stranger can make the weight shift just enough. That night, when I finally unlocked my door, I put the orange on the counter and didn't eat it right away. I just stood there for a minute, holding it, reminding myself that staying a little longer is allowed, but so is getting off when it's time. I've been feeding these birds from my car for a year. Today, they left me a gift. It started last spring. I eat my lunch in my car at the same half-empty office park every day. One day, I dropped a piece of my sandwich crust. A little bird darted in, grabbed it, and looked at me. The next day, I bought a bag of birdseed. I'd sprinkle a little pile on the asphalt 2 spaces over. Within a week, a small squadron of birds would be waiting in the hedge at 12:15 sharp. It became a ritual. They'd hop around, chirping, while I ate. We had an understanding. They got lunch, I got company. Today was different. They were there, but they weren't eating. They were clustered around something. As I got closer, I saw it. A single, perfect, blue tipped feather placed neatly in the center of the usual seed spot. They watched me. I picked it up. It wasn't from any of them. They're all brown and gray. It felt like a thank you note or a receipt. I sat in my car holding this possibly blue feather, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly seen and blessed. My mushroom experience. Alright, so I've never shared my story about shrooms online, but figured I would because it was pretty interesting. Figure if anyone is interested in trying them, this could give them an interesting perspective. For context, I've only microdosed in the past, so this was a big step up for me. So this happened a bit ago now, but my friends and I had planned a shroom night in one of their dorms. We all got together, ate pizza, and just hung out. When taking mine, definitely too much, I put it on my pizza. I think there were about 3 full mushrooms on it. Ate the pizza and waited. After eating it, I laid on the floor and was using my friend's weighted blanket and was super comfy. I had my now ex-boyfriend next to me and was just talking. About 20 minutes after, we took them. I started to notice some interesting design when I closed my eyes. They were extremely vivid. I looked over at my friend and said, "I'm feeling them," and then went back to laying down, now keeping my eyes closed to watch it happen. What I was seeing in my mind interested me so much. However, I can imagine the shape and what color, but I physically cannot imagine or picture it. However, I still have extremely vivid dreams. As the night went on, I just kept my eyes closed, watching it all happen. It was really wild. I definitely fell asleep at some point because I feel there was a large time skip. At one point, I looked over at my ex and started telling him what I was seeing. The lighting was very dim, so it definitely didn't help, but everyone's faces were on sideways, like their nose was where their ears should be, and nothing on the right side of their faces were there. As we kept talking, I asked, "Have I been talking this whole time?" And he stupidly replied, "No." And I lost it. I've never felt so scared in my entire life. My stomach dropped harder than it ever had, and I briefly started to cry, before he realized what he did and told me I had. Then I started to laugh about it. After a minute, I laid back down and watched the ceiling. It was concrete, so there was some texture to it, but I was seeing these silhouettes of lizards patterned across it. After a bit longer, my friend decided she wanted to sleep, so everyone left. But at this point, I was so in my head that I could barely keep my eyes open and function. It had to have been like 5 minutes just to put my shoes on. Eventually, we left the room and began walking down the hall back to my building. I felt absolutely weightless, like I wasn't even walking. It almost felt like I could just lift my legs and float down the hall. Unfortunately, I only made it about 4 doors down before I realized I was going to throw up. I very quickly ran to the washroom and had the displeasure of throwing up 2 to 3 slices of pizza. I didn't drink any water, so it was purely food. Once that was over, we finished the walk back to my room. I decided to stop in the washroom, and staring at the tiles on the floor, everything was fractals and was slowly spinning. It was super interesting to watch, and I did for a few minutes. I wasn't brave enough to look in the mirror, but I really wish that I had. Eventually, I got back to my room, and upon walking in, I asked my ex, "Did I leave my music playing?" And he replied, "No. There wasn't anything playing, but I could perfectly hear Is There Someone I Should Know by Duran Duran playing." Wasn't an issue though. At the time, I was obsessed with that song. I laid down in bed and looked around my room. My curtain looked like the top parts were swapping faces. I also had posters on my walls, some of the classic art pieces, and they were moving in such crazy ways. I also have one of those IKEA lamps with multiple lamps attached to it that can be moved, and it looked like they were swaying. I closed my eyes and began to watch the patterns again, but this time it was quite overwhelming, and I remember having to tell myself to go into the box where everything was smaller and more condensed. This really helped me calm down for some reason. Eventually, it started to wear off, and things were making more sense again and moving a lot less. Plus, the music stopped, which I didn't mind in the first place. Passed out after a bit longer, and woke up next morning feeling good. Since I've done them one other time, and it was interesting, definitely took too many and almost cried while watching Superbad. LOL. I would recommend not taking too many and start off in small doses for the first few times. That definitely helped ease my body into the feeling. Otherwise, I would have been extremely overwhelmed with what I was feeling the whole time. Since then, I've been wanting to have a similar experience, but haven't had the best opportunity to. Hopefully, in the future, I can report back on another cool experience. This is the narrator speaking. For anyone wanting to try this, I would not recommend it in general, even if you are chasing a thrill. But if you do, just please be careful with this stuff, man. This is serious. It's not something to play around with. And personally, I feel like no one should be doing stuff like this. You don't need this to have fun in life. You really don't. But just as a quick little message from me, by all means, I can't control you. I can only warn you. But yeah, next story. Someone tried to rob my car with me in it at 7-Eleven, but didn't know how to drive manual. I was sitting in the parking lot at 2 a.m. minding my own business, watching creepypasta videos on YouTube, eating my taquitos, when some random guy walked up to my car. Usually, my car has this feature where my keys are in my pocket. My driver's side door is the only one that unlocks when I pulled the handle twice. So, I really didn't think my car was unlocked for any other door. Usually, my car has this feature where my keys are in my pocket. My driver's side door was the only one that unlocks when I pulled the handle twice. So, I really didn't think my car was unlocked for any other door. He came up to the passenger side window and asked me if I could help his girlfriend because she's got something in her eye. I told him just to blow in it. Like, what am I supposed to do about it? In hindsight, I should have known something was wrong right there, but I just thought it was stupid. He then gets into my car on the passenger side. He told me to get out of the car. I kind of just sat there for a minute like, is this real life? A few seconds go by and I just say no. We were wrestling in my car for a good minute. I'm honking the horn because we're in a 7-Eleven parking lot, so someone has to be inside. After a minute or so, I asked him, "Do you even know how to drive manual?" He looks down, looks at me, looks back down, and said, "No." Like, good luck with that, buddy. I think back to it a few times, and I just laugh. It's so stupid. 1. If I get out the car, the keys are still in my pocket. You start to drive away, stall the car, and it would need a restart to get moving again, but my keys are in my pocket. The cops would be there before you even tried to get it out of the parking lot. 2. My car is a Lexus. It's 250 manual, complete with the body kit, blue underglow lights, and a black top vinyl. Assuming you'd make it out of the parking lot, cops would find you in 10 seconds. Who tries to steal a car they know nothing about? Just because I'm a small girl, you thought it would be easy? Cops came to my house, which was a block away, because I wasn't going to sit there and my license plate was obviously on cameras. They took my statement and laughed with me, because it was honestly so dumb. I never followed up because no damage to my car was done. So whatever, but damn. If you're going to try to steal a car, at least know what you're stealing. Alright, that is it for the video. If you did enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe and comment your favorite part down below. See you in the next one. Peace.